tell you where we went wrong. Maybe it's not anyone's fault. All I know is I don't know you anymore. Nothing ain't been left to take back. Can't lose something you never had. All I know is I don't know you anymore.
Eric, I feel like when I'm interviewing you, I'm interviewing 10 people because you have 10 different interests and, of course, many more in terms of talents. Let me go ahead and explain to people. Okay, so as a child growing up, you were born in Atlanta, Georgia. You played soccer. You are part of the Atlanta Boy Choir. You played the cello, the piano.
This is the piano of my childhood.
You had all of it.
Thank you. Thank you for the incredibly generous introduction. It's great to see you. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And I can't deny that I did those things. It's just, I have a lot of interests, I guess.
There are so many kids who try to figure out, what am I going to do when I grow up? When you're a good student and you're good at a lot of things, sometimes you're paralyzed because you just don't know what you're going to do. So did you know what you wanted to do when you came out of high school?
I wasn't like the best student, but I was good enough. Like I went to a good school, I got a great job, and going to college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do something fun, but I didn't realize that graduating with a degree in international studies would lead me to become a K-pop star.
Lost in this paradise, young one will get you mine.
It's been a wild ride.
It's nice when it's that wild ride, when the unexpected comes your way. But you know, you got exposed to the rest of the world. You did a number of things in business before you became that K-pop star. Tell us how you came back to those music roots and how it kind of accidentally happened. But there's a lesson to be learned there, and that lesson is sometimes we have these goals and we don't make room for opportunities, right?
So I did everything my parents wanted, everything that was supposed to be good for an ideal student, I guess. And so I got everything checked off the list, but I quickly realized at about the time I was graduating, I was like, wow, I've ticked everything off this checklist, but am I really going to be happy never having tried music, knowing that music was my biggest passion for a very long time? I talked to my company, I said, hey, can I have a year off to pursue other things? And I promised myself that during that year off, if I ever had the opportunity to do music, I would take it. When I got a call from Korea, from the equivalent of like American Idol meets The Voice, to say, hey, would you like to come to Korea to audition? I said, yeah, I would. And the opportunity presented itself, got to the top 5 of the show. Signed a record deal, quit my job, and here I am talking to you.
Yeah, did that surprise you? You also did a cover of the K-pop song Lonely. And that went viral. Did that surprise you?
It was very interesting because this was the early days of YouTube when there weren't as many creators and so much content on there. So when something ended up going viral, or when there was getting hundreds of thousands of views, was like massive, at least to me. And it was surprising, but also I was like, hey, maybe I'm not horrible at this singing thing.
사랑은 하지만 조금 지칠 거야. 상처를 주기가 너무 두려울 거야.
My parents were always like, please stop singing. You're so loud. You're not that good. Like, just stop. And I was like, all right, let me go sing in the basement for the internet.
Yeah, well, you got that approval and that validation. But the other lesson learned here is that when you feel like you want to do something, you didn't hold back. You actually went to Korea.
It was scary. I'll be very honest. It was scary. It was daunting. I could barely speak Korean. So there was a lot to learn, both linguistically, culturally, socially. And it was a long time of feeling like a fish out of water. But I wanted to be fair to myself, and I wanted to be fair to my dreams and my aspirations, and at least give myself the shot. And then if I didn't make it, or if it didn't work out, at least I would know, hey, at least I tried it, and I wouldn't have that regret. And so for me, going there was an important thing.
That statement you just made is interesting because America is the melting pot, but sometimes we forget it's the melting pot. You are American. You were born here in America, right? So for you to say that I went there and getting in touch with the culture, the language, all that stuff you had to relearn. You had some familiarity, but you weren't necessarily somebody who was Korean from Korea. All right, explain to us what K-pop is.
K-pop is the coolest thing in the world. So if you think about the word K-pop, it's popular music that is from Korea. And so I feel like it's very much genreless. Whatever you're looking for in music or in performance and production, Korea has it. And it just oftentimes happens to be in the Korean language. But more and more so, it's not even in Korean, it incorporates English. But I think what's really cool about K-pop and the culture that's been built around it is that it's so inclusive, it's so dynamic, and it's hyper engaged from artist to fan and everybody and all the different parts and pieces in between. And so there's a real community around it that I think is very precious and also hard to find in other places, and that's what makes it so special for people all around the world.
K-pop is becoming much more popular here in the West. NCT 127 was at the Houston Rodeo. You know, I remember people saying, wait, we're gonna have K-pop at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, but it was one of the highest nights that they sold.
It's interesting because it's always been there. We've always been doing it. We've just are now opening our eyes and ears to it. And so once people get hooked and once people are in, they're gonna be so shocked and surprised at the breadth and the depth of the content. Even in my music, when people are like, what is your genre? You know, right now I'd say it's just pop. It's very maybe left-leaning pop. But there was a point where I derived a lot of my sounds and my chord progressions and my melodies from jazz. There was a time where it was very, very deep, like heart-wrenching ballads.
You've been working on a number of things. What's the thing that excites you right now?
Well, I just put out my first album as an independent artist. It's called There and Back Again, and it is all in English. So it is, you know, I don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, I don't understand it. Well, you will understand this album. It is written with some of the best collaborators and songwriters, I think, in the world, and it is, you know, a project that is near and dear to my heart. I'm starting to hit the road. I'm going on tour. We're hitting 52 shows in the span of a couple months. It's an action-packed year, but I'm really excited, and I hope people are enjoying the album, which I think they are, because the charts came out and they were looking pretty good.
I love it. Well, Hai Ting. Did I say that
Thank
correctly,
you.
or do we
Yes,
have
Hai
to,
Ting.
we have to bleep that out because
No, you
I'm
did it
used to
well.
something else. It was good.
You
Hai
did it
Ting?
well.
It was
Yes,
good?
Hai Ting, yeah.
Eric, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing your talent with us. And maybe one day you'll be headlining at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
You know what? That would be a dream. That would be a dream come true, and I hope to one day be able to do that. But thank you so much for the time. Thank you for the thoughtful questions, and I hope to see you in Houston at my show.
All right, I want you to say thanks, y'all.
Thanks, y'all.
Oh, very good, very good.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one. Have a great day, y'all.
All I know, all that I know is I don't know you anymore. I can't tell you anything.